Welcome back to Tune to Life, and it's so good to be back here. And today we're talking about something that I have a personal interest in,
Mm,
um, and I hope I remember all the things I've done and done research on and so on. But we talk about the nature of reality, reality as we understand it, because it is a fascinating thing. And I'm not saying that I'm an expert in it. I'm just interested in it as a ordinary layperson. I'm not a scientist. I'm not looking at it from a scientific point of view, just an ordinary person's experience of how they see the world and how they understand the world.
mm,
I think that's important to look at, really, because yes, you can have science telling you this and telling you that and so on. But I'm going to go into certain things now where, for ordinary person every day, they may not have the vocabulary, excuse me, they may have the vocabulary to explain
yeah,
in a really nuanced and articulate way about what they think reality
it
is.
is. That's right. Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that they haven't got an opinion, you see? And that opinion may be contrary to science.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's something that I want to explore today in terms of nature reality, whatever it is. And there are some things that I may agree with, some I disagree with. And you look at sort of what people around the world, indigenous people around the world, and their
Experiences.
experiences,
Yeah.
and how we're living in the West, how they see things. And we'll talk about the most obvious things. Because you've got sort of health, you've got religion, you've got this. I'm not going to go too much into religion because that's never a great place to just harbor yourself into that idea. It creates problems. But I'm going to go there a little bit because nature reality, in my understanding, is that what is reality? Look at the earth, look at where we're living and how
mm,
things are and how we see nature, how we see everything we have in front of us, and the phenomena that takes place sometimes on a daily
basic.
basis that we often take for granted. We think, oh, no, whatever. Oh, people experience things.
Yeah.
Look at this. A guy,
Mm,
and I didn't see this happen. This was something that happened. Fell off a building site, about two or maybe even three stories.
okay.
A building that we're building. He fell from the top down, didn't break any bones, and no one could
And
understand
this,
how we. He was very badly bruised,
yeah.
very badly bruised, but nothing broken. Just fell and bang, hit things on the way, and bang, yeah.
Yeah.
So that is a phenomenon.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You see people, you see these things happen all the
All the
time.
time. Yeah.
You see, like, for example, I saw somebody, I'll never forget this. Somebody was crossing the road,
Mm,
and for some reason, they sort of half stopped. A car turned the corner, took them out, just hit them.
wow.
They threw up in the air, but the car hit them from behind. So they didn't see the car coming.
Okay.
And it went up, banged down onto the windscreen and the bonnet, and then fell off the car. This guy then proceeded to get up. Like,
And
what's happened?
walked on. Yeah. Walked on.
He got up. I
Mm,
was looking around, like, as I walked around,
yeah.
then went to the driver. I said, "What are you doing?" The driver got out. His legs were shaking. His
Legs.
arms were shaking. He was visibly upset and concerned. And then people rushed up to this guy that had been knocked over and said, like, you just been knocked over,
Mm,
thrown in the air and landed down on the floor. You better sit down. And the guy thought, oh, okay. So he sat down. I remember sitting on the pavement. And I'm sitting there looking, oh my God,
mm,
what have I just witnessed? You know? And then they started to lay him down until the ambulance come.
came. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a phenomenon in my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What happened there? Most people that get hit,
That's right.
and
Yeah.
we all know that sometimes people can tense up slightly
The
before.
adrenaline, but he wasn't aware of
And
it, though, was he?
he wasn't aware,
Aware
could
of it.
get hit
Yeah.
from
This whole
behind.
time. Yeah.
And that car was going probably around about 30 miles an hour.
Jeez. That's
Yeah,
enough.
fast enough.
Yeah.
Didn't die,
Mm.
and didn't sustain any. I mean, the guy got up, was walked to the guy. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And walk back again. And I couldn't believe it anyway. But phenomena happens. Crazy phenomena happens. So we're going to try to unravel that in terms of what we see and what we experience. And also, again, in terms of reality is very much, in my opinion, how you see the world and how you impact on it and how the world impacts on you as a
Yeah.
result.
Mm.
What creates your understanding
Ending.
and the world you live in. Yeah. So, for example, a lot of people are very religious.
Mm.
And so they have a very fixed
Fixed
view.
Yeah.
Some of them are very are practicing their religion,
Mm.
have a very fixed view of how the world works.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you're a Christian, then the world is only 6,000 years old. Yeah. And they will not want to take into consideration dinosaurs or this or early man. As far as they're concerned, that is not true. Yeah. So that's interesting.
Mm.
What makes up their reality. See? And people who may be Christians will have a belief that, this happened, that happened. Everything in the Bible is an exact
Yeah. Of
historical
what it
reference
is
of
or
what
yeah.
actually happened. And we all know it's not.
Not.
Yeah. Historically. But then, I can't knock people's belief or faith.
Mm.
And so that's what people believe, and that's fine. And various other books that are around, people believe that implicitly, and that's fine. But that shapes their reality.
Yeah.
And there's conflicts in
Mm.
that from one person's
Person
view to
to
another
another,
person's view.
definitely.
Conflicts.
You know what I find interesting actually for now, because I thought about kind of reality, and I thought, not everybody lives in the same reality. Clearly not. Everybody lives in a different
Yeah.
reality. And it's funny because I looked at the definition of reality, and I looked at Cambridge and definition, and it says the state of things as they are, rather than as they are imagined or wish to be. And I think it kind of infers or implies that we live in this kind of fixed, solid state. Um, and reality is kind of just one reality for everybody, which clearly isn't the case.
Yeah. And also just, that taking into consideration all of that you said, just thinking about how we perceive things and just natural things. There are atoms that are moving and are connected,
Mm.
and based on how fast or slow they are is our perception
Wow.
of things being solid or soft.
Wow.
Yeah. So these things are moving,
Yeah.
but we can't see
See
it.
them, yeah. Well, it's funny you say about
And we, so, for example, we
Yeah.
believe that things are solid,
Solid, yeah.
and they're actually not.
Wow.
That is crazy.
So even our touch.
Our hands or whatever, everything.
Yeah.
Everything's connected.
Fitted. Wow, it's crazy, isn't it? And obviously it's processed through the brain. So
Yes.
obviously,
So exactly. And then we all know how. Well, we don't all know how our brain works. I'll take that back. But our eyes
Mm.
take in information
Yeah.
like coded information.
Mm.
The brain decodes it
Yeah.
to understand it. And I remember being in school, we would learn about our eyes.
Mm.
We see for our eyes, and they, infrared light and
Yeah.
concave and this and that.
That's right. Yeah.
Infrared
Yeah,
eyes and
yeah.
whatever. But you weren't really taught properly that it's your brain
That's
that actually
That's right.
understands
Understands
and sees
Yeah.
what it sees.
And interprets it. Because
Yes.
the thing is, it was like, so they say 0.0035% of the entire electric spectrum is what we see. So I was trying to work that out, and it said 99.9965 is invisible to us. So it's almost like, how can you interpret things when you don't see the full picture?
Yeah, well, the thing is that we, just to be clear about what you said there,
Yeah.
is 0.0035 of the entire electromagnetic spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah, the light spectrum.
Yeah.
We're only seeing 0.0035, which is a minuscule amount. So that to me just shows and makes it clear that we don't know what reality is. We don't know what reality is. Because if we're only seeing that much of light of what actually is there, then we don't know what it is.
That's right.
We only know what our five
Five
senses
senses communicate.
information and communicates to
yeah.
us our brain, and our brain being further inhibited
Yes, that's
by
right.
being able to decode only what it gets.
And also,
So
yeah,
we don't know
mm,
what reality is,
it
my
is.
point. And
And
that's the point in the saying. And that to me is like,
I
wow.
know it is wow. It
Wow.
is
So
wow.
when we get told, oh, this is reality, the reality is da, 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 no one knows.
That's right. Yeah, I know.
Nobody knows.
But we're led to believe that actually what we've been told and what is the case
Yeah.
from the masses.
So think about it again. Yeah. We're just talking.
Okay.
And we could be completely wrong. There could be scientists listening to this and thinking, you guys are so stupid, you don't understand this. But we're just talking
Okay.
and trying to use some sort of basic common sense.
Mm.
So if you are a human being, if you are,
Mm.
and anybody is a human being, creates some sort of machine
Mm.
to understand the nature of reality, you're flawed already
Yeah.
in the creation of that
Yeah,
machine
yeah.
to understand something that you can't see.
See, that's true. That's a good point. That's a very good point.
You're
Very good point.
flawed.
Yeah.
Because if you can't perceive more than, how can you create something that will
That's right.
perceive more than you
That's it.
when you can't? It doesn't make sense to me.
That's it. Right.
So therefore, what they've created still won't give them a true picture of what actually exists and is out there. So when people talk about certain in science about and so about multidimensionals and existences and worlds, whatever it is, and that they're all around us, that is hard to understand.
I know it's kind of like
But
living
it's hard to understand when you look at it.
Yeah.
But it sort of does make sense.
No, it does make sense.
I mean, like, let's looking here. I'll look at this about an analogy which relates to how quantum mechanics understands reality. Right now, that's quite complex, but I tried to make this simple.
Okay.
But there's Schrodinger's cat, the famous thought experiment, and so it says, imagine a cat is placed inside a seal box, and in the box there's a radioactive atom that has 50% chance of decaying, right? And there's a Geiger counter that detects if the atom decays.
Okay.
Right? It's in the box. And so remember, there's a cat,
the
radioactive atom, and the Geiger counter.
Okay.
Geiger counter detects if the atom's decaying.
Yeah.
So it has a 50% chance of it. If it decays, it triggers a mechanism that releases poison.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously the poison's going to poison the cat.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't decay, then the cat stays alive.
Yeah.
So now, according to quantum mechanics, the atom is both decayed and not decayed.
Okay. So it's
according to quantum mechanics, it's either decayed, close to 50%. It's either decayed or not decayed.
Yeah.
Until you open the box. So the cat is both alive and dead at the same time,
Wow.
as long as no one looks inside.
Wow.
So it's about observable truth. So what they're saying is, reality is only what is observed. Beyond that, it's not observed. But it doesn't mean it's not there. And doesn't mean that it's not real.
That's a mind cruncher.
Yeah. So it seems so, but it mirrors how quantum particles behave. They exist in multiple possible states at once. Multiple possible states at once until they are observed. So the idea is the magic coin. So if you've got a magic coin, you spin it in the air. You get a coin, you flick it in the air.
Yeah.
It's spinning.
Yep.
So it's either heads or tails. At the same time, all the time it's spinning. Is that until it lands.
Yeah.
Then when it lands, then it is one. Is either heads or it's going to be tails.
Okay.
But it can only be one at that point as it lands. Yeah. And that's what they're saying. So what they're saying is that the atoms are constant movement, constant motion, and everywhere are moving, and is not one thing or the other until it's observed.
Wow. Okay.
When you see it, because imagine, think about it. To see something, it
Mm.
has to be something
Okay. Yeah.
somewhere.
Mm.
It can't be,
Oh,
otherwise
yeah,
you're not seeing it.
yeah.
Yeah. But on top of that, if we only can see 0.0035%, again,
Okay.
that tells you something else
Else,
about
but-
how we are. So there is a lot to say about how we are a sensory being that's sort of trapped
in this
in our physical body, in our
Mm.
reality, where we actually really are imprisoned,
prisons, yeah.
locked in, sealed in.
Mm.
And so it's quite interesting in terms of what sort of ancient people says, our ancestors going back,
Yeah.
we're talking about this and how we are, and say the ancient Egyptians
Yeah.
saw us as captured in this vessel, and how they were so interested in death, which they call life,
Love.
which makes sense because you're freed from this
Oh, yeah,
sensory trap,
yeah.
which is really
Interesting,
interesting.
yeah, it is
So when you
actually.
get into it, it starts to
Makes sense.
a
Doesn't it?
lot more sense.
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot more sense. So when we have things like, I think when you look at the way how the world we live in,
Mm.
and we look at politics, we look at religion, we look at healthcare and so on, and when you break it down in terms of how we are, that are at a certain point our bodies start to decay. I think it was at 1821 we start
Yeah, to kind of
falling apart. Yeah, it starts going a slow downward trend, and how our bodies start to decay and our memories start to go and whatever. And it's interesting because these are all atoms.
Mm.
Yeah, and when you think about it, it's really, when you really get into it, it's like mind blowing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So if these atoms can't really die, how comes our body falls apart?
Oh.
If energy and matter can't be destroyed, how come we fall apart, our physicality? There's some sort of agreement between the particles that they'll only stay as they are for a period of time. And that comes on our genetical makeup. I mean, this is really deep, isn't it? This is so
No,
deep.
it is deep. But then also you
But yeah,
you could then say that in the state that we're in this physical state we're here, but then actually perhaps other parts of us evolve
well,
elsewhere.
it depends how you believe. I mean, I believe that we do have a spirit or a soul.
Oh yeah,
I believe that.
yeah,
I don't believe that we're just this
yeah.
physical bit of flesh and bone, and then we just die and that's it. That's
Yeah.
my
No,
personal belief.
I agree
I
with
think we there's much more to us
yeah,
than
definitely.
we can observe or see, understand.
Definitely.
I personally believe that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting
Mm.
how that is. And now I think science is trying to pursue why we die physically, our bodies fall apart.
Yeah.
And allegedly, they're much closer to understanding the trigger
Okay, that
that
leads
sets off that aging process.
Oh,
And
that's
that
powerful.
are, obviously, the millions of we've got cells
Cells, yeah.
don't rejuvenate as much as they do, and how they can keep that going. So that's an interesting one.
Mm. That won't be for the masses though.
But yeah, but think about it again. Think about it in this sense. Yes, being in this world can be a wonderful thing in a roundabout way. People have got money or do this or learn or whatever it is. But again, you're still trapped. You're still trying to elongate your time in a world where you're trapped in an experience where you're only getting 0.0035% of it,
Mm.
right? So what you see and experience. Like our touch is limited.
Yeah.
You think about animals. Animals can see more of the spectrum light spectrum than we can.
Yeah, they can.
Have better senses than we have.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Better smell. Far evolved in that
sense
sense
than
than we are.
Yeah.
To experience more of the world than we do.
Mm.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, that is an interesting one. You know what they were saying that science, I was looking at some research, and they were saying that 80% of what we understand our reality to be is through our eyesight.
Mm.
and it kind of, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about, um, I suppose, and I say different people. And what I mean by that, I suppose, people kind of perhaps neurodiverse, just as an example. But I
Mm.
think generally across the norm, I think you can't just say that one size fits all. I think we're all wired individually very differently.
Yeah, I think there are some commonalities between
People,
people in different things. I think there are commonalities in terms of people's experiences through religion, through culture,
yeah, shared stuff, yeah.
traditions, and shared ideas and
Mm,
beliefs and so on, which makes up part of the reality.
yeah,
I think there are things that, and I don't think we're that different. I think there are personality traits
yes,
that
that,
group us
yes.
into
No,
sections.
no,
That's
no,
what
no,
I think.
no. I
But
would,
beyond that,
mm,
beyond that's a physical representation as we are here in this experience, I
yeah,
think. But beyond that,
mm,
I think well, again, things are different.
yeah.
I'm getting very deep here, but yeah, I think beyond that, I
No,
think everything's
no,
different. Yeah.
and I suppose my point was, I suppose, is that kind of looking at and working with, like, say, for example, students that have been, say,
Mm.
neurodiverse or such as that, and you see, um, the way that they process information is kind of very, and I say very different, in terms of the sensitivity of the sensory sensitivities that they have in terms of picking up in their environment.
I mean, you see it every day. I mean, there are people. I mean, there was a guy allegedly.
Mm,
Um, he was taken on a plane journey, right, over New York, I think it was,
okay.
once, and then landed, and then proceeded to draw in detail all the buildings
Oh, I think I saw.
across.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah. I think I saw that
that
actually. I
was
know, I
amazing.
know. I think I
That's
saw
a
it. Yeah, yeah,
phenomenon.
yeah.
Yeah. So there are things or
Flicks
aspects
of,
of
yeah, yeah,
us
yeah,
that are just
yeah,
amazing, that defy
yeah.
under our limited
Conventional
understanding.
understanding. No. And
Yeah.
I think that, to say that one size fits
What do you mean
all,
one size fits
and I
all?
say one size fits all in terms of
Into
our.
what? Yeah.
So what I mean by that is this: is that, so the research was saying that, 80% of what we take in is through our eyes, 10% is through what we hear, and the other 10% is through the other senses. But
Or shared between the other
yeah,
senses.
shipping up. But I think that because we're all individual, I think that
Yeah.
actually that we interpret the world very different, process it very differently. So therefore,
Yeah,
to
we're
say
different because of all the cultural things and whatever,
that's right. So
and understanding. That's why.
yeah.
But what are you saying? What are you saying
So
as a
so so
result of that?
so so what I'm saying, I suppose, is this: is that, so therefore, to say that actually, that 80% of us just actually just process information just from our eyes, I think it's very,
Limited,
yeah, it's
yeah.
very limited. That's what I would say. Yeah, it's very, very limited.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and you wouldn't necessarily agree with it, I
no,
suppose. Yeah.
no.
But I mean, I think that I think that it is where we are in the West, it is a Western view. Yeah, it's a Western view. I
Mm,
don't agree with it
yeah.
personally. It's a Western view. And who are they talking
Talking
about?
about, yeah.
Take somebody in a village somewhere, I don't know, whether in South America or whether in Africa or whether in Southeast Asia or in India, wherever it is, they're gonna have a different view
View of that's right.
of the nature reality. A very different view.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
So they would understand more
yeah.
about certain phenomena.
Polymath, yeah.
And that would make up part of the reality, their understanding of reality. And I give an example, a simple example.
Mm,
Some people are able to see what we call ghosts.
yeah.
Yeah. That tells you everything there.
Mm,
That just shows you there. Now, is that just something that they ate too much cheese at night, or a late dinner, or wherever it is? Or is it the fact that they're seeing a little bit more of the light spectrum than the ordinary
that's a
person
good point, actually.
and be able to then see
See,
beyond what is seen?
the
So therefore,
vibes.
science says, oh, they're mad,
Yeah.
they have a hallucination, or whatever it is.
Mm,
Do you see what I mean?
yeah.
Some people, in terms of what we hear,
Mm,
let's take that, our senses. Some people are able to hear,
mm,
people that are maybe passed on or other entities, whatever it is. Are they mad? Or is it just the fact that because we hear so little of
Yeah.
the sound spectrum,
Yeah.
they're able to dial in
It-
to a little bit more than what the ordinary person can
Actually,
dial into?
it's funny you say that because I know someone actually, and I was talking to them the other day, and they were telling me about when they're in their beds at night, and they were saying that they physically hear when things come in, they come into the room or come to the house,
Okay,
literally.
things, big, be
Like this
clear.
thing, sorry,
What
sorry,
people
sorry,
understand.
sorry, sorry, sorry. So, say spirits or ghosts or whatever, or other,
Something like that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, something,
Otherworldly
yeah,
beings, yeah.
yes, and as you physically hear them coming into the house, and
Yeah.
uh, and I've had experiences of things touching them there afterwards, whilst in the room and stuff.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah,
So the point of what we're
yeah,
making,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so we don't keep
Yeah,
going
so
over
yeah,
ourselves,
yeah,
is the fact that if you look at the fact that we are limited in terms of what we experience, and other people are able to experience this,
guiding those things.
we
Yeah.
can't say, "Oh, that's not real,"
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
because my point is this: if certain scientists are saying, "Well, that's not real because I haven't experienced it, other scientists have experienced it, and we can't measure it," you can't measure it because you're using the wrong tools.
That's right.
If you're already flawed as a being, which we are,
Yeah.
how can we create something that's going to do something that we literally can't
Yeah.
do as such? And the fact that we only pick up a certain amount of light spectrum, so if you see more
Mm.
or gain more, we'll be able to see things in different dimensions. We'll be able to feel things. We'll be able to hear things. See what I mean? So we can't poo-poo the idea of somebody who's able to have these experiences
Yeah.
and say that they're mad
Yeah.
because we're already flawed.
Yeah.
And that person may just have an ability to see more, feel more,
Yeah.
hear more than what we can.
That's right.
So why are they mad?
I know, that's crazy.
You see how crazy the whole thing is? And I think that, there needs to be, I personally believe that our whole curriculum in terms of what we learn and understand as human beings needs to be changed. It needs to be changed because the evidence and facts are already there. And we're still learning the same old
Good stuff.
stuff
I know.
that really isn't fit for purpose anymore.
But you say it fits. Well, it
It
fits for
isn't.
purpose for the people that are the elites that are at the table that kind of do.
Maybe so. I'm not going to get into that
Yeah,
one,
no,
but
no,
yeah,
yeah.
but
You know what I
the
mean?
point is, it's not relevant anymore because it doesn't really reflect the science that exists now.
But I think
Science exists now. We'll say all this is that quantum mechanics, and
Yes,
someone will
yes,
say
yeah.
this is that and whatever it is. But I think people need to be learning that, which will make people understand
Mm,
how limited we are, and those people that actually have other experiences that they're not actually really mad, and that will change again.
mm.
That will change again our reaction, response, methods towards people with mental illness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe some don't suffer the idea of being ill in the same way that we would understand it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that all people with mental health problems are experiencing these profound I'm not saying that. I think some maybe. Some may have some people that we would regard as being psychotic may be getting in more information than they can handle from different spaces or different parts of an existence or dimension. We don't know because that's not being explored in that way. And so I think that everything that we experience in the world, there are phenomena everywhere. There are, yogis that levitate, that scientists have seen levitate, and they don't have an answer why. But it's happening.
Yeah, happening, yeah.
Yeah. In Africa, it happens. People levitating, doing things. Yeah. Why is it that, for example, pugilists, you'll see that happen in Africa, you see it in India, you'll see it in South America, you'll see it all over the world, where they'll take a knife, a sharp knife, and be slicing their bodies, and they don't cut. They'll be taking a knife and trying to pierce them. What's going on there?
And you listen, I've experienced that myself.
You've seen it, you mean?
I've seen it myself. I went over to Morocco, sorry to say. I went over to Morocco and I was I was lucky enough to be part of a ritual that will just blow my mind.
You saw it. You weren't part of it. You
No,
saw
no, no.
it.
Sorry, yeah, sorry. I wasn't. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Come, come on.
sorry, sorry, yeah, sorry.
This
No, no,
guy,
sorry.
he's just thinking like,
No, 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 no. I
you
wasn't
weren't
part of
part.
it. No,
You
no, no,
saw
no, no,
it.
no.
You
I
didn't
saw
tell
it
me
with
you
my
saw
yeah,
it.
sorry, yeah, I saw
You
it with my
weren't.
physical.
You
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
experienced
Sorry,
it.
sorry,
You
sorry, sorry.
saw it.
Apologies. Yeah, with my, yeah,
You
my
saw what
physical
was
eye.
going
Yeah, yeah,
on.
my physical eye. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was a kind of a spiritual ritual that they did. But this
Yeah.
guy was like a long sword and was literally and was not cutting himself, but literally doing the arts of, I mean, proper.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just
Mm,
like,
mm.
it was something else. It was like,
I've seen that as well done,
mm.
and you'll see that it's sharp
Oh,
because they'll take something and they'll cut a million and a half of it. They're just cutting things with it, and it's sharp. It's proper sharp, and they're taking the thing and nothing's happening. So that's phenomena.
phenomenal. Yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
and science can't explain that.
Yeah.
But my point is that we can't look for science to explain everything,
Everything. That's right. Yes. Yeah.
and that we've got to accept that there are things. How about reality
Mm.
that we don't understand?
Yeah.
And people's minds should be more open as a
to those
result.
things. Yeah.
See?
So it's interesting that you're saying about openness, because I was thinking about the whole kind of stuff in relation to the reality of aliens, as we so-called speak. And we know there's a lot of speculation about reality of whether they exist on Earth or not, or
Mm,
that we're alone in the
mm,
universe, as to
mm.
speak.
Yeah,
Um,
and for one, just jumping in
yeah,
there
yeah,
really
yeah,
quickly before
yeah.
we finish, I don't believe we're alone. I don't
No,
really believe that for one
I
second.
don't believe that
We're
either.
not alone at all. End of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
I
no,
said
no,
we're
no.
gone.
I
Yeah.
know. I share that. I share that view. And there's a lot of religious organisations, there's governments that will say, look, this is not the case. And I remember, well, say a podcast we were yet to put out, but anyway, and we were talking about aliens in Africa
Mm,
and in Ghana. Okay,
mm.
and I remember they were talking. So these grey aliens were called Tubuns, and
Yeah, so let me make it really clear. So,
y-
because
y-
you missed that bit there,
yeah,
guys, what we're saying is that there were a couple of Americans that went down to
to
um, Ghana and
yes,
parts of and Africa, where they spoke to local people
yeah,
that were living in a village. And those local people were telling about their experiences
yes, yeah,
in the village and how their ancestors experienced a particular type of species of beings
yeah.
and what we would call as aliens,
Yes,
yeah.
that's right.
But they said that these were beings, intelligent beings that existed and lived in caves or under the ground,
That's right.
whatever.
That's right.
And they were calling them tubuns or something. Like
That's it.
they had a
Tubuns.
local name for them.
Mm,
And this wasn't something that was widely known by
definitely,
everybody living
definitely.
in Ghana.
Mm,
It was only known by certain tribes
yes, yeah.
in rural areas.
Areas.
They were
That's right.
knowledgeable of them. And most people that had knowledge of them
Mm.
were frightened of them
Oh,
and stayed away.
yeah,
And there were only specific
that's right.
tribesmen,
Huntsmen. They were huntmen.
yeah,
Hunters.
tribesmen, only
Yeah.
specific tribesmen
Mm,
that would go out to
hunt.
hunt
Yeah.
these beings.
Beings. That's right. That's right.
And they would hunt them for a specific purpose,
Yeah.
to either for some sort of engagement with a trade for something,
Yeah.
or they would hunt them for other reasons, which wasn't actually disclosed.
Yeah. That wasn't. No, it wasn't.
It wasn't
No,
disclosed, so they decided to keep that one quiet.
Yeah.
But there was, I remember watching this as well.
Mm, mm.
Just to be clear, there was an element of it that what used to be practiced is that these tribesmen used to catch one or two of them and kill
Yeah,
them
decapitate them. Yeah.
and eat part of their
That's right. Yeah.
eat part of them. And when they would do that, their gifts or powers would be income in them.
Yeah.
They would absorb
Yeah.
some of their abilities in that.
Mm,
But they've long since stopped doing that because there's a treaty.
mm.
They stopped doing that. And now they just try to exchange. They want something,
Something. Yeah.
and they give them something and they give them something in
Yeah.
return. But it's a very treacherous thing because apparently these Tibuns
Yeah.
are quite powerful. They have exceptional psychic ability,
Abilities. That's right. That's right.
telepathic ability, I should
Yeah.
say, telepathic ability and kinetic ability and so on. But these tribes were able to withstand it
Yeah.
by doing some of their own ritualized
Rituals.
behaviors, which is interesting.
And I think
Yeah.
in itself, I think, for example, when we think about the capabilities of humans, should we say, and they're doing rituals and stuff, you know, when we look about aliens and how, when we think about aliens, it's almost like, oh my gosh, they're so powerful. But actually, we've got human beings that are able to. I'm not saying that to defeat them, but what I'm trying to say, they clearly were a threat to them.
Yeah, yeah, and it does to show that, again, about realities, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yes. Yeah.
About how we are living here.
Yeah.
Our reality is different in terms of how we
Yeah.
understand the
No,
world
that's, yeah.
to how they would understand
Understandable.
it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, by knowledge.
Right.
Yeah,
And
and being able to experience beyond the bandwidth that we experience,
that's right.
limited bandwidth.
Yeah.
So that sort of left brain trap type of thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
where everything is only based on what you measure and da, da, da. Whereas beyond that, other parts of the world,
World.
they have a more open view of things and understanding that things can be changed and so on. And hence, with I think if you go back a long time, the idea is people still believe that some degree, even religions, about the power of prayer and obviously New Age ideas,
Mm.
the power of manifestation,
Vision. Yes. Yes.
which
Yes.
which
Yes.
you mentioned earlier about how
Yeah.
people can through meditation manifest sort of a life they want to lead.
Live. Yeah.
Now, understanding that
Mm.
is, I suppose, going into the realm of quantum mechanics. But then you have lots of other people like Nikola Tesla
Yeah.
that looked at that and so on. But that's a whole nother
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
which we do.
Yeah.
I'd like to cover at another time.
Mm.
But that is really interesting. And the idea about reality. I think we need to do a number 2 on this
Actually,
one.
I think you're right. I think you're
Yeah,
right. Actually, for number two,
because there's so much to cover on this.
yeah.
So much to cover. But it is really interesting. And we're living in a time now where there is so much information available to us that if we just ignore it, then we stay just in this little bubble, which we're all in a little experience, little bubble, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy, really. But just want just touching this, yeah. Now we only see a certain amount, like you mentioned before. I'm not going over, but we don't see radio waves, we don't see microwaves, we don't
Mm.
see infrared. We only see what visible light there is. That's all we see. Yeah, rainbows and sunlight.
Right, yeah.
That's all we see. We don't see ultraviolet. We don't see X-rays. We don't see gamma rays. It's crazy. We have a limited hearing range when he's from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. That's all we hear. Limited amount. Elephants can hear infrasound below 20 hertz. Bats and dogs can hear ultrasound above 20 hertz. So they can hear much better than we can. Yeah. So, like I said, animals have a much wider spectrum than we have. Yeah. So that's why animals sometimes do crazy things or look at things and run or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because they're seeing what we can't see
That's
and
right,
hear
yeah,
what we
yeah.
can't hear.
All the time with cats or dogs
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like that,
you do. So we can't take those things for granted.
Granted, yeah.
But one thing is we don't directly perceive most of the universe, particularly dark matter. We can't
Mm.
not cover that. Don't see dark matter at all, which makes up about 95% of the universe. Dark matter makes up 95% of the universe, and we
crazy.
don't even see that.
And are they? And aren't they still?
Can't feel it.
Are they still not looking? Are they still not
Yeah,
looking for
they're
it?
looking.
Still
There's a lot
for
of
it?
research on it. Yeah, a lot of research on it. We only interact about 5% of the universe's actual matter and energy. We only interact with 5%. 95% we don't. So it goes to show that the idea of us saying, "Oh no, there's nothing out there, it's only us," we're just silly saying that. Yeah, we're silly saying that. So we experience a tiny bit of the light spectrum, limited range of sound sensations, a simplified version of the world's filtered by the brain, and almost none of the true structure of the universe, like dark matter, we can even experience.
You have to ask
So
yourself-
reality is much bigger and richer than we understand, and far more sophisticated than our ability is able to comprehend.
our intellects, yeah.
Yeah?
Our limited, very limited intellect.
Yeah. So we really have to take that into consideration about how we are, how we see things, and how we engage with things. And I think when things happen, I think ordinarily, guys, when things happen, we can't just throw it out and say, "Oh, that's rubbish." We've got to say, "Well, it might be. It just might be."
You know what? I think that one of the things that I think plays a part in that, I think, is a negative perception that we hold based upon our environment that we live in, because I think is, hugely,
Mm.
you know, you'd rather, when you talk about opportunity or situations happening or occurring, people will rather poo-poo it. Oh, that's not going to work for you. Or, that's not going to go that well for you. We rather play it down than actually feel like actually, things will go in a particular type of way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's just again on people's sense of purpose, people's sense of where they are, what they do, and sometimes people try to hold other
You
people back
back
in and
into
contain them,
mm,
like that cat in the box,
yes, yeah.
in a sense. But I would like to try and believe that we're more than just that, and that yes, we are encased in this vessel that restricts us, but there may be something that is able to open us up from that. Maybe we should be trying to find what can unlock those senses so we can perceive more of the reality,
The
what reality
reality of
exists.
this.
Because we really don't know what reality is. That's the truth of the matter. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think we
I
should
think on
probably.
that note,
Yeah,
guys, we're going to leave it there
yeah.
because, but I think we have to revisit,
This,
and talk
yeah,
about what other scientists or other people have been doing and what exists out there in the world. I think we're going to come back on maybe next
yeah,
week.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
What
think so
exists,
too.
because there's lots of things to really look at, like Nikola Tesla, various
Mm,
other people who are pushing the boundaries, and also what exists.
yeah.
The realms of maybe darker things
Mhm.
that exist that really affect our
It's
understanding of reality.
reality.
So I think we're going to visit that next
Okay.
week. But I'm hoping you found it interesting. And if you've got any things that you want to comment on, whatever, please do so. But please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us and so on. And we hope you found it interesting. Right. So take care and see you later. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.